Ableton specific things, but the concepts here are also just going to be good to know if no matter what tools you're using. So the things we're going to cover are sources. So where do you get samples from? Time and pitch adjustments, how to make them fit the timing and pitch or key of your project. Then looking at putting them in drum rack, which is an Ableton thing. Simpler and sampler, which are two different levels of complication of a sampler, and then wavetable synthesis. So the way this is going to go is from the least amount of manipulation to the most amount of manipulation. So we start with just the sound and end up with turning that sound into a texture. So let's see, talk sources. A couple of things to note: if you're doing if you're giving samples to a friend or getting samples from a friend, try to get them dry if possible, so not soaked in reverb. And actually, if you can get them without compression and EQ, that's nice too, because if you're going to be mixing this track later or somebody else is, it's nice to be able to fit it into the space that you're creating rather than build your space around it. When possible, find out the key and the BPM, and we'll actually go over like little tricks to do that if you're not musically trained. I'm not, for the record, in classical music theory and whatnot. And then also start with the best quality recording you can, because you cannot, if you have a really like fuzzy, bad quality recording, no amount of processing is going to make it sound like it was recorded on a nice mic. So just really basic tips there. Some sources for getting samples online. This came up in our last session, actually. These are some recommendations from a few of the people here. I've used Loopmasters and Splice. Those are pretty cheap options. And then I cannot remember who recommended Freesound. I know that Amandine recommended NASA because she used some of their ocean and space sounds in one of her recent tracks. So we'll share these links. This is just to get you thinking if you don't already have those sources in mind. Field recordings used to be a lot harder to do well. Like I used to have a like a stereo recorder that I would take around to get field recordings. Now you can do stereo recording on a lot of smartphones. So one thing that I did recently was I went through my voice memo app on my iPhone, which I've had the same account for, I don't know, years, and found a bunch of just samples of like BART trains, train stops in different countries, just like birds, bells, like interesting stuff. And we'll look at maybe how you can even bring that in as a musical element. So this really just opens up the whole world, like your options become infinite. Go record things. I can possibly demo, like I literally recorded a washing machine at my old laundromat and then put it into a techno track. I usually do like to make techno, but our demo is not going to be techno, so don't worry if you're not into that. So yeah, usually you'll want to EQ, cut out the areas that kind of are just noise, but that'll depend. Again, since it was techno, I left it in that case, but I wouldn't in most cases. Want to make a little note here about recording from commercial songs. You can sample commercial songs, but know that if that sample is at all recognizable, you'll have to clear it no matter what. This isn't going to be a talk on copyright, but just making a note of that. So let's dive into the demos. I actually am just, like I said, it's not really about the slides. So this is what we're going to cover using this demo. It's a 2-minute demo. So I think I'll just play it first so you can hear what it sounds like. Everything's canceled. Matilda hasn't heard this before. She sent me the vocals from one of her recently released songs, which is amazing, by the way, and I'll link it to everybody so that you can hear the original if you haven't yet. So we're going to be using this demo to walk through the different methods. So what we'll do is we'll just walk through, and I actually organized this from top to bottom to go through the different levels of sound manipulation that we did here. Um, just using the actual samples in this song.